The topic is inter-process communication. This is about two or more processes communicating with each other, but we have threads here. So let us call it as inter-thread communication. So if there are two or more threads and they want to communicate with each other, what is the method of communication? So let us take, I have one thread T1, and one more thread T2, and we want them to communicate. So for communication, we can have shared data. Thread 1 can write something here inside the data, and thread 2 can consume that one. So thread 1 is producing the data and writing in the shared data. So this is a producer, and the other thread is consuming that data. So this is a consumer. So this looks like one-way communication, like producer is producing something and it is sending to the consumer. So whatever producer has produced has reached the consumer. So they are sharing data. And we can do it other way also. Both are producing and both are consuming also. But this is a famous problem, that is producer produces and consumer consumers. So producer consumer problem we can call it as. They can exchange the data through shared memory or shared data. So how we can do this happen? How we can make this happen? So for that, we will take one variable called data. This is shared data which can hold one value at a time. And the producer will write down some data here. Let us say it has written the value 1. Then consumer, which will consume the data from there, it will consume the value from here 1. So producer has produced 1 and then consumer has consumed the value 1. The next producer produces the next value, that is 2. So this becomes 2. Then consumer will consume that next value 2. Then likewise producer produces the next value 3. Then this becomes 3, data becomes 3, and consumer will consume the next value, that is 3. In this way, each time producer produces the data and consumer will consume it. So how it can make it happen? So for that, they should take the turn one by one. So for taking the turn one by one, we will have one variable called as flag. And let us say the flag value is false. If the flag value is false, it is producer's turn. So producer will produce the data and make the flag as true. So when the flag is true means it is consumer's turn. So consumer will consume the data, then again make the flag as false. So making the flag as false means now it is producer's turn. So we can make the producer write down the data here in the shared data by using some function. Let us call it as put. It will put the value I. I is 1, 2, 3 and so on. And the consumer will get the data from here by using a method, that is get. So shared data is having two methods, put and get. Put is used by producer, get is used by consumer. Whenever producer's turn is there, it will put the value, new value, and whenever it's a consumer's turn, it will get the value by calling get method. So how they exchange their turn? They will exchange their turn by using the flag value. So now let me make it more clear to you. Producer will wait for the flag to become false. Means as long as flag is true, producer will wait. And once the flag is becoming false, producer should lock this data and then write down the value here by using a put method. And then after that, producer should make the flag as true. So now it is consumer's turn. So how consumer should work? Consumer should wait as long as the flag is not true. Means as long as the flag is false, it should wait. And once the flag becomes true, it should put a lock on the data and get the data. And then release the log as well as make the flag as false again, so that producer can get its turn. So they both will use the flag to know whose turn it is. And whenever they are accessing, they use the methods like put and get. And they will acquire the lock and then use these methods. So let us do it programmatically. So for writing a program, I will write down shared data as one of the class. Shared data, this entire thing, I will write it as a class. And producer and consumers, I will write them as functions and I will make them as threads T1, T2. So they run and they commonly utilize this data. So let us write down the code for this one. So here in PyCharm, I will write a class called myData, and this myData should have a constructor. Constructor is init __self Now inside the constructor, I will define first of all data. Initially let it be 0 because we have to initialize the variable whenever we are declaring them. So instance variable data is there and I will make it as 0. Then self, we require a flag, and that flag initially should be false because producer should write down something first, then only consumer should consume. So this is false. Then also we require a lock, lock lock, and I should create a lock object. This is there inside the constructor. Now next thing is I should have one method that is put for putting the data, self comma d for data. So what this method do? Who will use this method? Producer will use this method. So first of all, producer should wait while self.flag is not equal to false. If it is not equal to false, it should wait. It should wait in a loop. So this loop will not do anything, just wait, pass. So as long as flag is not false, it will be waiting in the loop. And once the flag becomes equal to false, it's producer's turn. So what the producer should do, first of all, it should put a lock self.log.acquire. It should acquire the lock. Then it should update the data, self.data should be updated with the value d that is coming as a parameter. So now producer's work is over. So what it should do, it should make self's flag as true. Now because it is consumer's turn, so it should make it as true, as well as it should release the lock. So lock.release. So this method will be used by producer. Now we require one method that is get, that will be used by consumer. So what consumer should do, it should wait, acquire the lock and take the data. So I will copy all these things, but I have to make changes in them. So I will first copy it here. So it should wait while flag is not true. So it should stop when it becomes true and it can acquire the lock. After that, instead of writing the data, it should read the data in some variable, let us say x. It should read the data. Then it should make the flag as false because now it is producer's turn. And it should release the lock. So this method will be used by producer. This method will be used by consumer. You can clearly see that producer is waiting as long as the flag is true, means until it becomes false. And whenever its turn comes, it is acquiring the lock, writing the data and changing the flag and then releasing the lock. Now same way, consumer is using this method get. It is waiting until the flag becomes true. When it is true, it is acquiring the lock and then reading the data from there, changing the flag value and release the lock. Then it should return the value whatever it has taken in variable x. So one thing I have to do here before writing producer and consumer, I should import everything from threading. So from threading, import everything. I have imported everything. Now sometime we require time also. From time, import everything. Like if you want to make the threads sleep, we can do that. Now I require a function that is producer. Producer function should take data as a parameter, shared data as a parameter, right? So it should take this shared data. See, whatever this class I have written with respect to the diagram, this is the class. So I have written the class for this one, this entire thing. Now I have to write down producer function and I have to write down consumer function and make them as threads. So presently I am writing this producer function. Then I will write down consumer function. Inside the producer function, I will take one variable I. I will take the variable I, let its value is 1. Now what it should do, it should keep on writing the values. So let us make it as an infinite loop while true. So first of all, it should put the value data.put and it should write on the value I. Then it should change the value of I plus assign 1. So I value will be incremented. That's all. Now let us better give a message here that producer has produced the value. So for that I will print producer. It is producing the value. What is the value it is producing? It is producing I. This is over. Now I should write on the function that is consumer. Should also take the data, that is common data, shared data as parameter, and let it also run in infinite loop while true. So this is infinite loop. So what it should do, it should take the value by using data dot get. It should call get method and take the data, and it should print the data whatever it is getting. So consumer is getting the value, that is x. It is reading the value in x. That's all. So you can see that continuously producer is producing the values. So starting from 1, then next time I becomes 2, so it will put 2, then put 3, put 4, and also it is printing on the screen whatever the value it is producing. Then consumer is also getting the value in an infinite loop. So get the value. So now who will synchronize them? The put and get method will synchronize them. So they know who should enter in, who should not enter in, and who should get a lock and who should access the data. Now inside the main part of a program, I should create the data as my data. My data object I have created. Then I should run first thread T1, and I'm calling a function thread. So target is what? Target is producer. Now actually I should call that producer by passing the parameter. So I cannot write down the parameter here. If I pass data, see, it should use the shared data. So I am creating only one object of data. This will be used by both producer and consumer. So I have to write down the producer function only here, but I cannot pass the parameter. So to pass the parameter also, it is better to use lambda. This is lambda. So this is a producer. Now same way I can copy it and paste it and make a consumer. So let us call it as T2, thread 2, and target is what? Consumer. And it should also take the same data, consumer. Now you can see that I have one common data. Producer is also using the data, consumer is also using the same data. I have one shared object, and one object is having put and get and flag and lock, everything is there. Producer is just using put method for writing the data. Consumer is using get method for getting the data. So the data should be one variable, one object shared by both producer and consumer. So I have created only one object that is being shared by producer as well as consumer. Now I should start the threads T1 dot start and T2 dot start. And I should also make them join with the main method. So main method will wait for them, T2 dot join. That's it. The program is ready. Let us run the program and see what happens. Run interprocess. Oh, it's running too fast. Wait, stop. I have to stop it because this is an infinite loop. Let us go back and see from the beginning. Producer produced 1 and the consumer consumed 1. What is this? Why the things are getting mixed? Yes, this is race condition. Both the producer and consumer are using the same terminal window for printing the data. So data will mix up. Yes, it will mix up. So don't worry about this one. Just see that producer 1 and consumer 1 are you getting or not. Then producers 2, consumers 2, and then producers 3. Data is mixed with each other. Then if you see consumer 3 next and producer produce 4, then consumer consumes 4. Now from here you can see it's proper. Producer produces 5 and consumer consumes 5. Producer produces 6, consumer consumes 6. Then producer produces 7. Then consumer consumes 7 here, but the producer is producing next 8. So the output will mixed. But how to confirm it is working perfectly? Just see the number. Whatever the number it has written, the other one is reading that data or not. Whatever producer has produced, consumer is perfectly consuming it. Now, if you don't want these to be mixed and you want this to happen little slow, then inside the get method and put method and get method, we can put the thread to sleep. So I can say sleep for 1 second inside the, not producer. Okay, producer also you can put it on sleep. Then in consumer also you can put it on sleep for a while so that it consumes slowly. Sleep 1. Now they will be sleeping for 1 second. So now producer 1, consumer 1, producer 2, consumer 2, producer 3, consumer 3. Now it's going perfect. Now again at some place it is mixing up. So you can increase the sleeping time, or you can do one more thing. Instead of sleeping here, let the sleep function called inside get and put method. So inside get method, after writing the data, let it release the lock and then sleep for a while. So sleep 1. Then after releasing the lock and before returning the value, let it sleep for 1 second. Now let us run them and see if anything happens good. Oh, actually consumer is quickly following that one. Because consumer is returning, we cannot make it delay for longer. Yeah. So that's it. So the output is mixed. We can't do anything now because we have to return the value from the get method. So I will stop the program. The program will stop. So that's it. This was all about inter-process communication or inter-thread communication. Now, there are other methods of achieving inter-process or inter-thread communication. We will see those methods in the next coming 2 videos. And whatever I am going to discuss in next 2 lectures is exactly related to the same task, that is producer and consumer. So there I will not explain what is producer and what is consumer. Just I will change the code, that's all. So other 2 videos are related to this video. That's all in this video. Try to write on this program and check it by yourself. That's all in this video.